I haven't noticed any difference in the demographic of people working in project management, and I never have. I mean, the reason I started writing A Girl's Guide to Project Management was because I didn't think women had a voice, because 5 years ago when I started writing the blog, 6 years ago now, the number of women in project management in my experience at work was about equal to the number of men. But when you went to conferences or you read trade magazines, the number of women who were writing articles or speaking on the podium about project management was practically none. And I have seen now that that's started to change. Their project management conferences and events now have a better mix of speakers. And I've spoken to a couple of conference organisers, and they've said it's difficult to get women to attend to speak. So, naturally, if you draw from the pool of available speakers, and if they're mostly men, you have mostly men speaking. So I think in a way, the thing I'd like to see more is more women volunteering to do this kind of stuff, more women writing about project management, because I think we're still underrepresented in public, even though behind the scenes there are plenty of women project managers doing excellent work. I think there is a lot to be said for the way in which women have a different way of communicating perhaps than men, and perhaps are more happy to talk about different ways of communicating. Soft skills, I know this is terribly stereotypical, but soft skills tends to be the thing that everybody says, oh, women are so good at that. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there are plenty of men talking about social media. I don't think there are plenty of men talking about imposter syndrome, but interestingly, the book I put out last November about imposter syndrome has had, we did some research on the number of people who've actually bought it. From what I can tell, from people who've left their email address when they purchased it, and 36% of them were men. So I think something like imposter syndrome is something that speaks to both men and women. So I think that's, I don't know, I think that they're just, I'd like to think they're generic topics about human interaction on projects. And the next thing I'm working on, which is due to come out in December, is a book about customer service in project management. So how do you use your project skills, take the post-implementation review and actually make it useful throughout the life of the project by talking to customers on a regular basis. Your project stakeholders are your project customers, and you want to be able to find out what they think about the project for the whole way through. There's something missing, I think, in the way that we manage projects at the moment. Post-implementation reviews happen at the end, and at that point it's like saying to your customer, well, how can I help you? Now it's too late to do anything about it. And
how could we have helped you?
Yeah, how could we have helped you if we'd bothered to really ask 6 months ago? And so what we've, a colleague and I have taken an approach that we use in service delivery, IT service management, and turned it into something we can use in a project environment to enable project managers to find ways of interacting with their project stakeholders and ask them how things are going for the life of the project. So that's, I like to think that's quite a novel approach to rethinking post-implementation reviews, and so hopefully that will get well received when the book is out later this year. I think the topics of the books we'll be writing in 3 years' time will be about how everybody's a project manager. I think we have a real risk of losing the definition of project management as a profession, because the tools are moving to a set where they're very easy to use. You don't need any skill to use a software as a service cloud project management tool, because it's mainly around tasks and lists. A lot more of the work we do now is project-based, which means that we're involving people in projects who aren't project managers and project managers by trade, and those people are moving into project-based roles. And so I think as professional project managers who have been trained in this stuff, we'll either be doing the elite, really complicated projects, or we'll be redundant.